Hi, second graders. Today we are on not Module 1, we are on Module 3, Lesson 21. Today you will need your blue book, your notebook, scissors, and glue. Today we are going to look at how writers rearrange sentences to increase sentence variety. So that means we're looking at how we can put sentences in different orders, in a different order, so that there's a mixture of sentences and they don't all sound the same. In your blue book, we are going to open our book to handout 21B, Sentence Variety. We are going to cut out the sentence parts and then we're going to rearrange them to create at least 2 different sentences. Then we're going to write down our sentences in our book. We're just going to write one sentence, or we're going to glue them down and then we can rewrite it, because if you look at our first sentence, sentence 1, it says something unusual happened as Mrs. Henry watched Ruby one morning. There aren't any capital letters to start the sentence and there's no punctuation. So we're going to put these phrases in a different order, and then we're going to add our capital letter and our punctuation by rewriting it in a complete sentence. So let's just start with sentence 1, and we're going to cut out each sentence strip. So I'm going to cut out the first one. I'm going to set it on my table. Here's my table. I'm going to cut out my next one. Yep. Cut with my scissors. And it'll be a lot easier for you if you just rip out the page first, and then you can cut out this whole gray rectangle and then cut the sentence strips out. Okay, so here's my first one. Oops. Let's see, I want to take all these at the same time, but I don't know if I can. So I'm going to move these down to my notebook. Oops. Sorry, having some technical difficulties. I'm wondering if I can move them all at the same time. No, I can't. Can I? No. Okay. Well, I'm gonna make this smaller so I can drag, click, and drag. Okay. Now that I have my sentence strips, I'm going to rearrange them. That means put them in a different order. So I might say, I think I'll start with, as Miss Henry watched Ruby one morning, something unusual happened. I could also say, I could start with, something unusual happened as Mrs. Henry watched Ruby. Oopsies, no. One morning. Okay, so there are different ways that we can put these words in order to make a sentence. I think I like starting with one morning first. One morning, something unusual happened as Miss Henry watched Ruby. Again, there's more than one right answer here, but I'm going to stick with this one. And then I'm going to rewrite it with my neatest handwriting with a capital letter at the beginning. One morning, something unusual happened as Mrs. Henry watched Ruby. This was when she was looking out the window and seeing Ruby walk to school. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my workbook. If you need more time to write this, you can pause the video. But I'm going to cut out my other sentence strips. I think I'm going to just cut, since I'm on my iPad, I'm going to cut these whole rectangles out and bring them all the way down here first. Paste. And then I'll cut them. So our next one, we have suddenly, in front of the angry mob, Ruby stopped. Now I can put those in a different order to make a new sentence. Let's see, what should I do? I could start with in front of the angry mob, Ruby stopped. And then I could put suddenly at the end. In front of the angry mob, Ruby stopped suddenly. That works. Or I could start with suddenly. Ruby stopped in front of the angry mob. Ooh, I think I like that the best. It makes it sound a little more suspenseful. Then I'm going to write with a capital letter, suddenly. Ruby, oops, I put a comma there. Ruby stopped in front of the angry mob. If you want to put the sentences in a different order, you are more than welcome to do that. So I just did the first two as an example. I want you to try the last one on your own. If you need more time to write that sentence, you can pause here. I'm going to zoom in on that last part. So our last four, we have calmly, she stood, howling people, facing the. So you need to put these four in order to make a sentence. Again, there are a few different options for a sentence that would make sense. You get to decide what order you want to put them in, glue them down, and then write your sentence just like we did with the first two. So we did 1 and 2 together. I want you to try number 3 on your own. When you're done, don't forget to take a picture of your work and post it on your Seesaw activity. One more thing I did want to have you think about is, why do writers use sentence variety? Why don't they just say the same things over and over again? Ruby did this, then Ruby did that. Ruby did this, Ruby did that. Would that be very interesting to read? No, and it's probably really boring to write as well if they use the same sentence structure every time. So writers like to switch things up, add some variety, put their words in different orders, in a different order, so that it is more interesting to listen to. So when you write your next paragraph, I want you to keep that in mind and try to add sentence variety to your own writing. Again, after you do the third one on your own and take a picture of it on Seesaw, you are all done.